Captain Junho Kim stared at the warning lights flashing across his ship's control panel. Red warnings covered every screen in front of him. The engine room was sending bad news through the ship's speakers. His vessel, the exploration ship Curiosities, Edge, was in serious trouble. "Captain, the jump drive is completely dead," said Tae-Min Lee from his engineering station. Sweat ran down his face as he worked on the broken controls. "We pushed it too hard on that last jump. The core is overheating and we're losing power fast." Junho pressed his hand against his forehead. They had been exploring the far edges of known space for 3 months. Earth Command had sent them to map new star systems and look for planets that humans could live on someday. It was supposed to be a safe mission. Now they were stuck in the middle of nowhere with a broken ship. "How long do we have?" Junho asked. "Maybe 2 hours before the life support systems shut down," Tae-Min replied. "And that's if we're lucky." Navigator Hana Park looked up from her station with worry in her eyes. "Captain, I'm seeing a planet in this system. It's the third one from the star. My readings show it has air we can breathe and gravity that won't crush us." "Any signs of life?" asked Sora Choi, the ship's science officer who studied alien life forms. "I'm getting some strange readings," Hana said, frowning at her screen. "The planet seems to have a lot of crystal formations. Some of them are really big, but I don't see any cities or ships." Junho made his decision quickly. "Set course for that planet. We need to land and fix our ship before we all die out here." "Captain," Hana said with a worried voice, "my computer is showing some kind of warning about this system. It's really old data, maybe from before humans started traveling in space. But it says something about this area being restricted." "Restricted by who?" Junho asked. "We're the only human ship out here, and I don't see any alien vessels." "I don't know, sir. The data is too old and broken to read properly." Junho looked at the dying lights on his control panel. "We don't have a choice. If we stay here, we die. At least on that planet we might have a chance to fix our ship and call for help." The Curiosity's Edge moved toward the planet. As they got closer, Junho could see that it was beautiful in a strange way. Green and blue colors mixed together. On the surface, and huge crystal towers reached up into the sky like mountains made of glass. Some parts of the land seemed to float in the air without anything holding them up. "This place is incredible," Sora said, watching the planet grow, larger on their main screen. "I've never seen crystals that big before, and look at those floating islands. How is that even possible?" "We can study it after we fix our ship," Junho said. "Tae-Min, how are the engines?" "Getting worse, Captain. We might have enough power for one landing, but taking off again will be impossible without major repairs." Hana found a flat area near one of the crystal forests that looked safe for landing. The ship shook and made terrible noises as they came down through the planet's atmosphere. Sparks flew from control panels and the lights went out twice before coming back on. When they finally touched the ground, everyone let out a breath they didn't know they were holding. "We made it," Hana said with relief. "Now the real work begins," Junho said. He stood up from his captain's chair and looked at his crew. "Tae-Min, I need you to check the damage and tell me what we need to fix the engines. Sora, scan the area around our ship. Make sure it's safe and see if you can find any materials we might need. Hana, try to get long-range communications working so we can call Earth." "What about you, Captain?" Sora asked. "I'm going outside to look around. Someone needs to check the outside of our ship for damage." Sora looked worried. "Sir, we don't know if this planet is safe. There might be dangerous animals or plants. Maybe you should wait until I finish my scans." Junho shook his head. "We don't have time to wait. Every minute we stay here uses up more of our emergency power. I'll be careful." He put on his environmental suit and checked all the seals. The suit would protect him from bad air and give him oxygen for several hours. He took a scanner and a small weapon, just in case. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Junho stepped out onto the surface of the alien world. The moment his boots touched the ground, something incredible happened. The huge crystal trees around their ship began to glow with a soft blue light. The glow started dim but got brighter and brighter. Soon the entire crystal forest was shining like a lamp. The light spread from crystal to crystal across the landscape as far as he could see. "Captain," Hana's voice came through his radio. "Are you seeing this? My instruments are going crazy. The entire planet just lit up like a Christmas tree. Junho stood still, afraid to move. The crystals were making a sound now, a low humming noise that seemed to come from deep underground. It was beautiful and scary at the same time. Sora, are you getting readings on this? He asked. Captain, I don't understand what I'm seeing, Sora replied, her voice full of surprise. The crystals aren't just glowing. They're sending signals. Really complex signals. It's like they're talking to each other across the whole planet. The humming sound got louder. Now Junho could feel it in his bones. The crystal nearest to him, a tower as tall as a building, pulsed with bright blue light in rhythm with the sound. Taemin, how are our ship systems? Junho asked. This is weird, Captain, Taemin said. Our computers are picking up the signals too. It's like the planet is trying to connect with our ship somehow. Junho took a few more steps away from the ship. With each step, the crystal lights got brighter and the humming got louder. He had the strange feeling that the planet knew he was there. Not just that someone was there, but that he specifically was there. Captain, you need to see this, Hana said urgently. My navigation computer just updated with star charts I've never seen before. These aren't in any Earth database. It's showing star systems millions of light years away from here. How is that possible? Junho asked. I don't know, but that's not the strangest part, Hana continued. The charts are showing routes between the stars, pathways that connect not just our galaxy, but other galaxies too, dozens of them. Sora's voice came through the radio next. Captain, I'm detecting massive structures underground. This whole planet is built on top of some kind of ancient city or facility. And it's huge. It goes down for miles. Junho looked around at the glowing crystal forest. Everything was different now. This wasn't just a pretty planet they had crashed on. This was something much bigger and much more important. Sir, Taemin said, our ship's computers are learning things. I know that sounds impossible, but our navigation system just gained knowledge about star drive technology that's way more advanced than anything Earth has ever built. The humming sound began to change. Now it sounded almost like music, with different tones mixing together in complex patterns. Junho realized that he could almost understand it, like it was trying to tell him something important. Everyone stay calm, he said to his crew. We're clearly dealing with technology we don't understand, but so far it hasn't hurt us. If anything, it seems to be helping our ship. He walked over to the base of the nearest crystal tower and placed his gloved hand on its surface. The moment he touched it, images flashed through his mind. He saw stars being born and dying. He saw planets covered with cities made of light. He saw creatures that looked like living energy flying between worlds. And he saw something else. A message, written in symbols he somehow understood even though he had never seen them before. The message said, "The children have returned." Captain, Hana shouted through the radio. We're getting signals from space. Big ones. There are ships coming toward this planet. A lot of ships. Junho pulled his hand away from the crystal and looked up at the sky. What kind of ships? I don't know, but they're huge. Much bigger than anything humans have ever built. And Captain, there are hundreds of them coming from different directions. Sora's voice was full of fear. Sir, I think we made a mistake. Coming here. I think this planet was kept secret for a reason. Junho looked around at the glowing crystals and floating islands. Whatever this place was, their arrival had woken something up. And now that something was calling to the stars. How long until those ships get here? He asked. At their current speed, maybe 18 hours, Hana replied. That's not enough time to fix our ship and leave, Taemin said. Junho made another decision. Then we go deeper. If this planet has ancient technology, maybe we can find something. To help us, Sora, you said there were structures underground? Yes, sir, big ones. Then that's where we're going. Pack emergency supplies and scientific equipment. We need to find out what this place really is before those ships arrive. As his crew prepared to explore the underground structures, Junho took one last look at the crystal forest. The lights were still spreading across the planet, and the humming had become a complex song that seemed to welcome him home. He didn't understand it yet, but Junho Kim had just taken the most important step in human history. And across the galaxy, Ancient civilizations were waking up to the fact that the forbidden world of Valthara was active again. The human who stepped on a forbidden world had changed everything, and he didn't even know it yet. The signal from Valthara reached the Corvan Empire first. Their space stations picked up the ancient frequency at exactly 1427 Galactic Standard Time. Admiral Thex 9 was eating his evening meal when the emergency alarm started screaming throughout his flagship. "What is the meaning of this noise?" he demanded as he stormed onto the bridge. Thex 9 was 7 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. His species had ruled their part of the galaxy for 50,000 years. "Sir, the Forbidden World has awakened," said his communications officer. "The signals match the old records perfectly. Something has activated the architect technology on Valthara." Thex 9 felt his blood turn cold. Every child in the galaxy learned about Valthara in school. It was the world that must never be touched. The world that held technology too dangerous for any living being to control. "Who did this?" he asked in a quiet, deadly voice. "Unknown, sir. But we're tracking the source of the activation. A small ship landed on the planet's surface approximately 30 minutes ago." "What species?" "The ship's design is unfamiliar, sir, but our computers think it might be human." Thex 9 laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Humans? Those young creatures who just learned to travel between stars? Impossible. They wouldn't even know what Valthara is." "Nevertheless, sir, a human ship is on the planet's surface, and the ancient technology is responding to their presence." Thex 9 turned to his fleet commander. "Send word to all Corvan ships within 50 light years. Tell them to come here immediately, and send a message to the High Command. Tell them the Forbidden World crisis has begun." "Sir, should we try to contact the humans first? Maybe warn them to leave?" "No," Thex 9 said firmly. "If they have awakened the architect technology, they are already too dangerous to live. We will destroy them before they can learn to use what they have found." Across the galaxy, other civilizations were receiving the same signal. The ethereal collective, beings of pure energy who lived inside crystal bodies, felt the awakening like a physical pain. High Counselor Lys called an emergency meeting of their ruling council. "The day we have feared for 10,000 years has come," Lys announced to the assembled spirits. "Valthara lives again." "Which species has done this terrible thing?" asked Counselor Vex 12. "Our scouts report it was humans, the youngest spacefaring race in our galaxy." "Humans?" Vex 12's crystal body flashed with surprise. "But they know nothing of the old ways. How could they find the Forbidden World?" "It does not matter how," Lys said. "What matters is that they have touched what should never be touched. If they learn to control the Genesis Protocol, they could reshape reality itself. We cannot allow this. What do you command?" "Gather our most powerful ships. Prepare the void weapons. We go to Valthara to end this threat before it destroys us all. Even the Shadow Syndicate, mysterious aliens who lived at the edge of the galaxy, felt the awakening. The Void Walker, their leader whose real name no one knew, stood in the command center of his dark ship and watched the signal spreading across space. "So, the Forbidden World calls again," he said to himself. His voice sounded like wind blowing through empty caves, and it calls to humans. How interesting. The Void Walker had lived for thousands of years. He remembered the time before Valthara was forbidden. He remembered why it had been sealed away. And unlike the other alien leaders, he was not afraid of what the humans might find there. He was curious. "Prepare my fastest ships," he told his crew. "We go to watch what happens when children play with the toys of gods." On Earth, Admiral Yoon Sulki was having a normal day until the emergency communication arrived. He was reviewing supply reports in his office when his aide burst through the door without knocking. "Admiral, we have a code black situation," the aide said breathlessly. Sulki looked up from his papers. Code black meant one of their exploration ships was in deadly danger. "Which ship?" "The Curiosity's Edge, sir. Captain Kim's vessel." Sulki knew Junho Kim personally. They had served together years ago, and Sulki had recommended him for exploration command. "What's their situation?" "We lost contact with them 6 hours ago, sir. Their last transmission said they were having engine trouble in the Sector 77 Gamma region. Send a rescue ship immediately. Sir, that's not all. Our deep space monitoring stations are picking up massive alien fleet movements. Ships from at least 3 different civilizations are all heading toward the same area where Captain Kim disappeared. Sulki stood up quickly. How many ships? Hundreds, sir. Maybe thousands. It's the biggest fleet movement we've ever detected. Sulki felt his stomach drop. If that many alien ships were moving toward where Junho's ship had vanished, it meant his friend was in much more danger than simple engine failure. Get me the Indomitable, Sulki ordered. Full battle readiness, and call up every available ship in the home fleet. Sir, Earth Command will want to know why you're mobilizing the fleet without authorization. Tell them one of our exploration ships found something that has the entire galaxy scared. And tell them we're going to get our people back no matter what. Back on Valthara, Junho and his crew had found an entrance to the underground structures. It was hidden beneath a crystal formation near their ship. Sora had detected the hollow spaces below using her scanning equipment. The entrance was a smooth tunnel that sloped gently downward. The walls were made of the same crystal material as the towers above ground, and they glowed with soft light that made it easy to see. The air down here is breathable, Sora reported, checking her scanner. Actually, it's cleaner than the air outside. No dangerous chemicals or bacteria that I can detect. How is that possible? Hana asked. This place looks ancient. I don't know, Sora replied. But everything down here seems to be maintained by some kind of automatic system. They walked deeper into the tunnel. The walls were covered with symbols that looked like writing, but not like any writing they had ever seen. The symbols seemed to glow brighter when they got close to them. Are you recording all of this? Junho asked Sora. Yes, sir. But Captain, I'm getting readings that suggest these tunnels go down for miles. This isn't just a cave system. This is some kind of huge, underground city. After walking for 20 minutes, they found a large chamber. The ceiling was so high they couldn't see the top. In the center of the room was a pool of water that glowed with the same blue light as the crystals. The water isn't normal water, Sora said, scanning it carefully. It has some kind of energy flowing through it. And look at this. There are symbols around the edge of the pool. Hana knelt down to look at the symbols more closely. They're different from the ones in the tunnel, more complex. Don't touch anything yet, Junho warned. We don't know how any of this technology works. Taemin was examining the walls of the chamber. Captain, these walls aren't just crystal. There's some kind of metal framework inside them, and I'm detecting power flowing through the whole structure. Power from what? Junho asked. I don't know, sir. But whatever is generating it has been running for a very long time. Sora walked around the glowing pool, taking readings with her scanner. Captain, I think this room is some kind of control center. These symbols around the pool, they're arranged like a computer interface. A computer that uses water? Not exactly. I think the water is just the display. The real computer is built into the planet itself. Suddenly, the symbols around the pool began to change. New patterns appeared in the glowing water, forming shapes that looked almost like star maps. Did anyone touch anything? Junho asked quickly. No, sir, his crew replied together. Then why is it activating? The answer came from Sora, who was staring at her scanner in amazement. Captain, the system is scanning us. It's reading our DNA, our brain patterns, everything about us. Is it dangerous? Hana asked, stepping backward. I don't think so. It feels more like it's trying to identify us. The star map in the water became clearer. Now they could see their own galaxy and dozens of others around it. Lines of light connected the galaxies like a vast network. This is a map of the entire known universe, Hana whispered. And look, it's showing pathways between galaxies. Shortcuts through space that would let you travel impossible distances. Junho moved closer to the pool. As he did, new symbols appeared in the water. These ones he could somehow understand, even though he had never seen them before. The symbols told a story. Long ago, a powerful species called the Architects had lived on many worlds across the galaxy. They were builders who created incredible technology and helped other species grow and learn. But something had gone wrong. The architects had discovered something dangerous, something that could destroy entire galaxies if it was used wrongly. So, they had hidden their most powerful technology on this one world, Valthara. They had made it forbidden to all species and then vanished, leaving only guardians to watch over what they had left behind. "Captain," Taemin's voice came through the radio urgently. "I'm detecting ships entering this star system, big ships, and they're not human." Junho looked up from the pool. "How many ships?" "I count at least 40 so far, sir. And more are arriving every few minutes. Are they trying to communicate with us?" "No, sir. But they're taking battle positions around the planet." Junho felt the weight of what was happening settle on his shoulders. By landing on this planet, he had started something that Admiral Yoon Sulki stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, and watched the impossible sight before him. Through the main view screen, he could see more alien ships than any human had ever seen in one place. Hundreds of vessels from different civilizations filled the space around the forbidden planet. "Sir, we're receiving multiple communication requests," reported Communications Officer Min Ai Hong. "The aliens want to talk." "Put the Corvin Admiral through first," Sulki ordered. The screen flickered and showed Admiral Thex 9. The gray-skinned alien leader looked angry and impatient. "Human Admiral, you will order your ships to leave this system immediately. Your people have violated the most sacred law in the galaxy." "What law?" Sulki asked, though he suspected he wouldn't like the answer. "The Forbidden World Accord, signed by every major civilization 10,000 years ago. Valthara must never be disturbed. Your people have awakened something that should have stayed sleeping forever. My people are explorers, not invaders," Sulki replied firmly. "They landed on that planet because their ship was damaged. They didn't know about any laws." "Ignorance is not an excuse," Thex 9 said coldly. "The penalty for touching the forbidden world is death. We will destroy your ship and everyone on the planet to prevent the ancient technology from spreading." Sulki felt anger rising in his chest. "You want to murder my crew because they landed on a planet to save their lives? We want to save the galaxy from destruction. The humans must not be allowed to claim the Genesis Protocol." "The what?" But Thex 9 had already cut the communication. The screen went dark, leaving Sulki staring at his own reflection. "Sir?" Mine said nervously. "We're getting similar messages from the other alien fleets. They all want us to leave or be destroyed." Sulki looked at the tactical display showing the positions of all the ships around the planet. His small human fleet was outnumbered more than 100 to 1. In a straight fight, they would be destroyed. "In minutes. Get me Captain Da-Hai Shin," he ordered. The screen lit up again, showing a young woman with short black hair. Da-Hai commanded the fighter squadron Soul's Lightning, the fastest ships in the human fleet. "Admiral, we're ready for your orders," she said. "Da-Hai, I need your fighters to get past those alien fleets and reach the planet's surface. Our people down there need to know what's happening up here." "Sir, there are too many enemy ships. We'll never make it through in a direct attack." "Then don't attack directly. Use hit-and-run tactics, confuse them, make them chase you while a few fighters slip through." Da-Hai smiled. "I understand, sir. We'll give them something to think about." Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, Junho and his crew had gone much deeper into the underground complex. The tunnels had led them to massive chambers filled with strange machines. Everything was made of the same glowing crystal, but these crystals were shaped into complex patterns that hurt their eyes to look at. "I've never seen anything like this," Sora said, scanning one of the machines. "This technology is so advanced that I can't even figure out what it's supposed to do." "But it's responding to us," Taemin observed. "Look at how the lights get brighter when we get close." Hana was studying symbols carved into the wall. "These symbols are different from the ones upstairs, more complex. And I think they're trying to tell us a story." "What kind of story?" Junho asked. "About the species that built this place, the architects. According to these symbols, they were like gods. They could create planets and move stars. They built technology that could change the basic rules of reality. What happened to them? They realized their power was too dangerous, so they hid it away and left the galaxy to find a new home somewhere else. But first, They left instructions for whoever would come after them. Sora looked up from her scanner. Captain, these machines are starting to activate. Whatever we did upstairs, it's waking up the entire complex. The chamber around them began to change. The crystal walls became transparent, showing them vast spaces filled with more machines and technology. Lights appeared in the distance, forming pathways deeper into the complex. It's like a city, Hana said in amazement. An entire city built inside the planet. And it's showing us where to go, Junho realized. The lights were forming a clear path towards something in the distance. They followed the lights through chamber after chamber. Each room was bigger than the last, filled with crystal technology that hummed with power. Some machines looked like they were meant to create things. Others looked like they were designed to destroy. All of them were beautiful and terrible at the same time. After walking for an hour, they reached the largest chamber yet. This one was so big that their lights couldn't reach the far walls. In the center stood a structure that looked like a tree made of crystal and metal. It reached up toward the ceiling and down into the floor with branches spreading out in all directions. What is it? Hana asked. I think it's a computer, Sora replied, her voice full of wonder. But not like any computer we understand. This thing is connected to the entire planet, maybe even to other planets. As they approached the crystal tree, symbols began appearing in the air around it, not on screens or walls, but floating in empty space like holograms made of light. The symbols told them the truth about why they were there. Long ago, the architects had looked into the future and seen that their power would someday be needed, again. But they knew that they themselves were too far removed from struggle and hardship to use it wisely, so they had planted seeds across the galaxy, genetic changes in young species that would help them grow in the right direction. Humanity was one of those seeded species. The architects had visited Earth millions of years ago and made tiny changes to human DNA. Changes that would help humans develop curiosity, creativity, and the ability to work together even when they disagreed. We're connected to this place, Sora said, reading the floating symbols. The architects made us to eventually come here. But why? Junho asked. Because someone needs to decide what happens to their technology, and they wanted to make sure the right species made that choice. The crystal tree began to pulse with brighter light. More symbols appeared, showing them images of what the Genesis Protocol could do. Planets brought back to life after being destroyed. Diseases cured with a thought. Entire star systems created from nothing. But the symbols also showed the dangers. Civilizations that had destroyed themselves with power they couldn't control. Galaxies turned into empty space by weapons too terrible to understand. It's offering us a choice, Junho realized. We can take this power, or we can walk away and let someone else find it someday. Captain. Taemin's voice came through their radios urgently. I'm getting signals from space. There's a battle starting up there. Through their radio they could hear the voice of Captain Dahai Shin. Sole leader to all units. We have multiple alien vessels engaging. Use pattern Delta 7. Hit them fast and get out before they can target you. The sound of space combat filled their radios. Explosions and laser fire and the voices of human pilots fighting for their lives against impossible odds. Admiral Sulki came for us, Hana said with tears in her eyes. And now he's going to die because we landed on this planet, Junho said, bitterly. The crystal tree pulsed again and new symbols appeared. These ones showed a different possibility. The Genesis Protocol could be used to save the human fleet above, but using it would mean accepting responsibility for power that could reshape the galaxy. What does it want us to do? Taemin asked. I think it wants us to prove we're worthy, Sora said. The architects didn't just leave their technology here. They left a test. More sounds of battle came through their radios. They could hear Admiral Sulki giving orders to his ships, trying to protect the planet while being attacked by forces far stronger than his own. Sole leader is down, came a voice through the static. Dahai, respond. I'm okay, Dahai's voice replied, but she sounded hurt. But my ship is badly damaged. I'm going to try to reach the planet's surface. Junho looked at the crystal tree and the floating symbols around it. His friend Admiral Sulki was dying in space above them. His people were being attacked because of something he had started. And here was technology that could save them all, if he was brave enough to use it. What exactly would we have to do? He asked the symbols, feeling foolish for talking to a machine. The symbols changed, showing him the process. He would have to touch the crystal tree and accept a connection with the planet's computer system. The technology would scan his mind and his heart to see if humans were ready for what the architects had left behind. If humanity passed the test, they would gain access to the Genesis protocol. If they failed, the technology would shut down forever and wait for another species to find it. The risks? Junho asked. The symbols showed him those too. The connection could kill him. Even if it didn't, it would change him forever. He would become something between human and machine, able to understand the architect technology but never again fully human. Captain, Sora said softly, maybe there's another way. Maybe we can study this technology slowly, learn about it safely. There's no time, Junho replied. Our people are dying up there right now. He walked toward the crystal tree. With each step, the humming sound got louder, and the lights got brighter. He could feel the power in this place. The connection between Junho and the crystal tree sent waves of energy through the entire planet. Deep beneath the surface, machines that had been sleeping for thousands of years came to life. Ancient guardians, left behind by the architects, to test anyone who would claim their legacy, began to stir. Junho's mind was filled with visions and knowledge that no human had ever possessed. He saw the true history of the galaxy, the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and the terrible responsibility that came with the power to reshape reality itself. Captain, Sora shouted, but her voice sounded far away. Your life signs are spiking, the connection is too strong. Through the crystal tree's network, Junho could sense everything happening on the planet and in space above. He felt the fear of the alien commanders as they watched Valthara's awakening. He sensed the determination of Admiral Sulki as he prepared his small fleet for a hopeless battle. And he felt something else approaching from the deepest parts of the planet. The Prime Guardian was coming. Everyone step back, Junho managed to say, though his voice sounded strange and echoing. Something is happening. The chamber around them began to change. The walls became transparent, showing them the vast network of crystal technology that filled the planet's core. And rising through that network, like an elevator made of light, came something that had once been alive. The Prime Guardian appeared in their chamber as a figure made of crystalline energy. It was tall and elegant, with features that seemed both alien and somehow familiar. When it spoke, its voice filled their minds instead of their ears. Children of Earth, the Guardian said, you have awakened what was meant to sleep until the galaxy was ready for wisdom. Are you prepared to face the final test? What test? Junho asked, though he was still connected to the crystal tree and his words echoed with power. The test of worthiness. Many species have found this world over the millennia. All have failed because they sought power for its own sake. The architects created the Genesis protocol not as a weapon, but as a tool for those wise enough to use it properly. The Guardian gestured, and the chamber filled with images. They saw the Corvan Empire conquering weaker species. They saw the ethereal collective absorbing other civilizations into their collective consciousness. They saw dozens of alien races using their technology to dominate rather than elevate. Each species that found Valthara demanded the Genesis protocol for themselves alone, the Guardian explained. They would have used it to become gods over others. So the planet rejected them and remained dormant. What makes humans different? Sora asked. That remains to be seen, the Guardian replied. The test will reveal your true nature. Above them, the space battle had begun in earnest. Admiral Sulki's fleet was heavily outnumbered, but they were fighting with the desperate courage of people, protecting their family. Captain Dahai Shin had managed to land her damaged fighter near the Crystal Forest. Now she was making her way toward the underground complex on foot. Soul Lightning to ground team. Her voice came through the radio. I'm about 2 kilometers from your position. But Captain, you need to know what's happening up there. Admiral Sulki is buying us time, but he can't hold out much longer against those fleets. In space, the battle was brutal, but one-sided. The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than the alien vessels, but they were vastly outnumbered. Admiral Sulki used every trick he had learned in his 40 years of service. All ships execute Pattern Phoenix, he ordered. Break formation and attack from multiple vectors. Don't let them concentrate their fire. Commander Hyunwoo Park, leading the destroyer squadron, followed his orders perfectly. His ships scattered like leaves in the wind, each one targeting a different alien vessel before jumping away to safety. It was working, but barely. Admiral, reported Tactical Officer Kyung Min Yun, we're taking heavy casualties. The Sunrise and the New Sol are both badly damaged. Tell them to fall back to the planet's moon, Sulki ordered. Use its gravity to slingshot around and hit the aliens from behind. Meanwhile, in the chamber deep beneath Valthara's surface, the Prime Guardian had begun the test. The crystal tree's connection to Junho intensified, and suddenly he found himself standing in a different place entirely. He was on a world covered in darkness, where the last survivors of a dying civilization huddled around failing power sources. The Guardian's voice echoed around him. The Zephyrians were a proud species, the Guardian said. When they found Valthara, they demanded the Genesis Protocol to save their dying world, but they wanted to use it to conquer other planets and move their people there, destroying the native life forms. What would you do in their place? Junho watched the suffering Zephyrians and felt their desperation, but he also saw the Guardian's point. I would ask other species for help, he said. Finally, find empty worlds to settle, or learn to share planets with others. The power to create shouldn't be used to destroy. The scene changed. Now he stood on a battlefield where two alien armies fought endlessly. The Velkari found this world during their war with the Drexen Union, the Guardian explained. They wanted the Genesis Protocol to end the conflict by destroying their enemies completely. What would you do? End the war by making both sides unable to fight, Junho said. Force them to find a peaceful solution. Even if they didn't want peace? Junho thought carefully. Even then, sometimes protecting people means protecting them from their own worst choices. The test continued with scenario after scenario. Each one showed Junho a different species that had found Valthara and demanded its power for selfish reasons. And each time, Junho chose solutions that helped everyone instead of just humans. Back in the real chamber, Sora and the others watched as Junho stood motionless, connected to the crystal tree. His body was glowing with the same light as the ancient technology. His brain activity is off the charts, Sora reported, but he seems stable. How long has he been like this? Hana asked. 15 minutes, but I think time might work differently when you're connected to this technology. They heard footsteps in the tunnel behind them. Captain Dahai Shin appeared, her flight suit torn and dirty from her crash landing and long walk through the crystal forest. Is that Captain Kim? She asked, looking at Junho's glowing form. He's taking some kind of test, Taemin explained. The planet's computer is deciding if humans are worthy of the technology here. Well, he better pass it soon, Dahai said grimly. Admiral Sulki's fleet is getting destroyed up there. The aliens have weapons that can crack our ships in half, with one shot. In the test space, Junho faced the final scenario. The Guardian showed him Earth itself, threatened by an approaching asteroid that would kill all life on the planet. You have the Genesis Protocol, the Guardian said. You could easily destroy the asteroid and save your world. But using the power would announce to the galaxy that humanity has claimed the Architect legacy. Other species would unite to destroy Earth before you could use the technology again. What do you choose? Junho stared at the image of his home world. Billions of humans lived there, including his family and friends. The easy answer was to save Earth and deal with the consequences later. But he thought about everything the Guardian had shown him. Every other species had chosen to save themselves first and worry about others later. That's why they had all failed the test. I would find another way, he said finally. Maybe use the technology to move Earth to a safe place, or change the asteroid's path without destroying it. The power to create means there are always more choices than just save or destroy. The Guardian was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried something that might have been approval. You understand? The Genesis Protocol is not a weapon. It is not a tool for one species to dominate others. It is a gift that can only be fully realized when it is shared freely. The test space dissolved around Junho, and he found himself back in the chamber with his crew. But everything was different now. He could see energy patterns flowing through the walls. He could sense the vast network of technology that filled the planet, and he could feel the Genesis Protocol itself, waiting for his decision. "Captain, are you all right?" Sora asked with concern. "I'm different," Junho admitted. "But I'm still me. And I understand now why this place was forbidden." The crystal tree pulsed with new patterns of light. Information flowed into Junho's mind, showing him how the Genesis Protocol worked and what it could do. The knowledge was incredible and terrifying. "The Guardian is giving me access to the technology," he told his crew. "But there's a condition. If I use it to help our people in space, I have to use it to help everyone. All species, even the ones trying to kill us right now." "That seems like a bad deal," Dehi said practically. "Maybe," Junho replied. "But it might be the only way to stop this war before it destroys everything." Above them, Admiral Sulki's fleet was down to half strength. The alien ships had formed a blockade around the planet, and more ships arrived every hour. The Korvan war fleet was preparing for a final assault that would wipe out the remaining human vessels and then destroy the planet's surface. "Admiral," Hyunwoo Park reported, "we can't hold out much longer. We need a miracle." Sulki looked at the tactical display and knew his friend was right. They had fought bravely. The moment Junho fully connected with the Genesis Protocol, every ship in the system felt it. The massive alien fleets, moments away from their final attack on the human vessels, suddenly found their weapon systems shutting down. Not damaged or destroyed, just simply refusing to function. Admiral Thex-9 stared at his control panels in confusion. "What is happening to our weapons?" "Sir, all combat systems are offline," his weapons officer reported. "But our defensive shields and life support are working normally." "This is impossible. Run full diagnostics." "Sir, the diagnostics show everything is working perfectly, but the weapons won't fire." High Counselor Liss was experiencing the same problem aboard her crystal ship. "The Genesis Protocol has been activated," she told her council. "Someone has passed the test." "What does this mean?" asked Counselor Vex 12. "It means the rules have changed. The architect technology will no longer allow violence in its presence." In the depths of Valthera, Junho stood surrounded by flowing energy. The Genesis Protocol wasn't just a single machine or program. It was an entire network that connected to reality itself. Through it, he could sense every living thing on the planet and every ship in space above. "Captain," Sora said in amazement, "the energy readings from your location are incredible. What's happening to you?" "I can see everything," Junho replied, his voice carrying strange harmonics. "The protocol is showing me how to use the architect technology, but more than that, it's showing me why the architects left it here." The crystal tree pulsed, and suddenly the chamber was filled with holographic images. These showed the galaxy's future, the paths that different choices would lead to. Some futures were bright, with all species working together and exploring the universe in peace. Others were dark, filled with endless war and the destruction of entire civilizations. "The architects didn't just leave us their technology," Junho continued. "They left us a choice about what kind of galaxy we want to create." Hana looked at the floating images of possible futures. "What choice?" "We can use the Genesis Protocol to make ourselves the most powerful species in the galaxy. We could rule over everyone else like so many species have tried to do, or we can use it to create something new, a way for all species to share the benefits without any one group controlling everything." Taemin frowned. "But Captain, if we share this technology, won't other species just use it against us?" "That's the genius of what the architects built," Junho replied. "The Genesis Protocol won't work for species that want to use it to harm others. It only responds to cooperation and peaceful intent. Da-Hai, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. That's why the alien weapons stopped working. The protocol. Sensed their intent to destroy and shut them down. Exactly. And now I have to decide what to do with this power. Above them, Admiral Sulki was trying to understand why the alien fleets had stopped attacking. His ships were still badly damaged, but at least they weren't being shot at anymore. Sir, Minai Hong reported, we're receiving communication requests from multiple alien commanders. They want to talk. Put Admiral Thex 9 through, Sulki ordered. The Corvin leader appeared on screen, but he looked very different from before. Instead of anger, his face showed confusion and something that might have been fear. Human Admiral, what have your people done? Thex 9 demanded. I don't know, Sulki replied honestly. My people are explorers, not warriors. If they found something on that planet, they're probably trying to understand it, not use it as a weapon. The planet is actively preventing violence. Our ships cannot fire their weapons. This is Genesis protocol technology. I don't know what that means. Thex 9 studied Sulki's face carefully. You truly don't know, do you? Your species found the most powerful technology in the galaxy by accident. Before Sulki could respond, High Counselor Liss joined the communication. Her crystal form flickered with nervous energy. The question now, she said, is what your people intend to do with that technology. In the chamber beneath Vilthara, Junho was learning the answer to that question. The Genesis protocol showed him exactly what it could do. With a thought, he could heal the damage to Admiral Sulki's ships. With another thought, he could create a shield around Earth that would protect it from any attack. He could give humanity technology that would make them the most advanced species in the galaxy. But the protocol also showed him the consequences of those choices. If humanity became too powerful too quickly, other species would unite against them. The galaxy would split into factions, leading to wars that could destroy entire star systems. There has to be another way, he said to the Guardian. There is, the ancient consciousness replied. But it requires sacrifice. Not just from you, but from your entire species. What kind of sacrifice? The Genesis protocol can be open to all species simultaneously. Instead of one civilization controlling it, it becomes a shared resource. But this means humanity gives up the chance to become the galaxy's dominant power. Junho thought about this. Through the crystal network, he could sense his crew waiting for his decision. He could feel Admiral Sulki's determination to protect his people. He could even sense the alien commanders above, afraid of what humans might do with architect technology. Show me what happens if we share it, he said. The Guardian created new, holographic images. These showed a galaxy where different species worked together, combining their unique abilities to solve problems that no single civilization could handle alone. Humans contributed their creativity and adaptability. The Corvin Empire shared their advanced manufacturing. The Ethereal Collective offered their understanding of energy manipulation. It would take longer to achieve great things, the Guardian warned. Instead of humanity advancing alone, all species would advance together. Your people would not become gods. They would become partners. But everyone would benefit. Everyone would benefit. And the galaxy would be protected from the kind of wars that have destroyed so many civilizations. Junho made his choice. Do it, he said. Open the protocol to everyone. The moment he spoke those words, the Genesis protocol began to change. Instead of connecting only to Junho, it reached out to every ship in the system. Alien commanders suddenly found their minds touched by the same knowledge that Junho had received. Admiral Thex 9 gasped as he experienced human memories of cooperation and sacrifice. He saw how humans had learned to work together despite their differences, how they had overcome wars and hatred on their own world to reach for the stars. High Counselor Liss felt the power of the protocol, but also its limitations. She understood that it would only work for those who truly wanted to help others, not just themselves. Even the mysterious Voidwalker was affected. For the first time in centuries, he felt hope instead of cynicism. But the protocol's influence went beyond just the ships in the Valthara system. Across the galaxy, every spacefaring civilization began to receive signals from the ancient network. The message was simple but revolutionary. The Genesis Protocol was now available to all species, but only those who chose cooperation over domination could access it. On Earth, Dr. Kang Woo-jin was studying reports from the Deep Space Monitoring stations when the signals arrived. As the leading expert on ancient alien technology, he was one of the first to understand what was happening. "This is incredible," he told the Earth Defense Council. "Someone has activated technology that makes war obsolete. Species that accept the protocol gain access to amazing abilities, but they lose the ability to use those abilities to harm others. What does this mean for humanity?" asked Defense Minister Yoon Seo. "It means we have a choice. We can try to claim this technology for ourselves and fight the entire galaxy for it, or we can work with other species to use it for everyone's benefit." The choice wasn't just Junho's anymore. It was humanity's. Back on Valthara, the Prime Guardian began to fade away, its purpose finally fulfilled after thousands of years of waiting. "The test is complete," it told Junho. "Humanity has proven worthy not by claiming power but by sharing it. The galaxy will never be the same." "What happens now?" Junho asked. "Now you learn. The protocol will teach your species and others how to use the architect technology wisely. Planets that have been damaged by war will be healed. Diseases that have plagued civilizations for millennia will be cured, and barriers between species will begin to dissolve. And the price? No single species will dominate the galaxy. Power will be shared based on wisdom and cooperation, not military strength or technological advantage." As the Guardian disappeared, Junho felt the crystal tree's connection to him stabilize. He was still changed by the experience, but he was also still human. Around him, his crew watched in amazement as the chamber filled with new technology. Machines that could solve problems they had never even imagined. "Captain," Hana said softly, "look at this." She was pointing at a new device that had appeared near the glowing pool. It looked like a communication system, but far more advanced than anything on their ship. "I think it's for talking to the alien fleets," Sora said, scanning the device. Junho walked over to the machine. When he touched it, he found himself able to communicate directly with every ship commander in the system. "This is Captain Junho Kim of Earth," he said, his voice reaching every vessel simultaneously. "I want to talk